Welcome to the Live Drive with Michelle. It's a beautiful Monday evening in Lagos, Nigeria. It's 4 minutes already past the hour of 4. My name is Michelle Agoh. It is the 4th of October 2021. And on the Live Drive today, we start off with an exclusive interview with a special guest who's joining us today from the German Consulate General. His name is Dr Munchow-Pohl. Welcome to the studio, sir. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
It's a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. We are going to learn a little bit about the German consulate here in Nigeria, and also try to understand the difference between the consulate and the embassy. But first, I'd like to ask you a very easy question. How long have you been in Nigeria?
That is indeed an easy one. I've been here just exactly for 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
Wow. You're welcome. Officially, your first time in Nigeria?
It is my first time.
2 months. You're very, very welcome. All right. So how are you finding the weather so far, and what can you easily say about the Nigerian people so far?
The weather, well, I just came in the rainy season, so I am still kind of getting used to that, but I understand we're pulling out of it. Mm-hmm. And my contacts with the Nigerian people have been very positive so far. I haven't ventured out too much out of Victoria Island and Ikoyi so far, but I think I've met some really nice people.
All right, fair enough. We'll take that. So what are the main task areas of activities of the German consulates in Lagos here? What are some of the main tasks that they undercover?
Yes. We have, as we have split our responsibility between the embassy in Abuja and the consulate general here, we do everything but sort of the core political functions, which are reserved to the embassy. We do economics and trade relations, of course, all the consular and visa stuff. We do all the visas for all of Nigeria from here.
All right, that's good.
Which is probably our bread and butter business, so to speak. And cultural affairs. We have some special colleagues from different German police force who liaise with the Nigerian partners. They're also part of the consulate, and so we are fairly sizable. I think we even have more people in Lagos than we do have in Abuja.
All right. So what exactly happens in Abuja? What is the difference with the officers and what they carry out, the functions here in Lagos and Abuja?
Yeah, Abuja is where they are the ones who interact with the government, the embassy there, the political relations, also development cooperation, for example. That is something that is also done out of Abuja, which basically covers the whole of the country. We, aside from the visa business, focus only on the south, on the 18 southern states. But basically all political relations, and that is first and foremost with your federal government in Abuja. That takes place up there in the embassy.
All right. Let's quickly talk about yesterday. Yesterday, 3rd of October, was the National Day for Germany. How did this come about, and what are you actually celebrating? I want Nigerians to learn a little bit more about the German culture.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to talk about that. Our National Day, even though Germany is a very old country, relates to something which is rather recent in the span of times, which is just 31 years back, which is when Germany, East and West, got reunified into one, which was 1990, when after the end of communism, the fall of the Berlin Wall and all of that, we could peacefully reunite as one Germany again. That was, for us, a very big deal. The whole thing came kind of unexpected, I can say that. And it was one of these very happy moments in the life of a nation, which just came about, and ever since we've been one again.
It's beautiful to see that your country celebrates unity. I think it's such an important thing to always look back on. It kind of helps you guys reflect on where you're coming from, why you are together, and the purpose for the nation. It's quite beautiful to see. So how exactly do you celebrate? What do you do? What kind of food do you eat? What kind of parties do you have? What kind of conversations do you have with your fellow Germans during celebrations like this?
Yeah, well, I have to tell that first of all, I mean, we're still in the COVID or post-COVID period. So if you look what's happening in Germany, everything is still kind of on a low level in terms of public festivities. There are no big gatherings because of the protocols still in place at home. So there were some official celebrations going on, but it was not sort of generally party mode. It was more a political reflection kind of celebration. Mm-hmm. It's basically always stock taking, how far unity has progressed, what is still left to be done, how far we've come along, and of course we always, think how happy and lucky we were that this all could happen in our lifetime. And but to your question, I mean, normally the normal party situation, which pre-COVID I remember quite well. Mm-hmm. So there were like concerts, going on outside, live stages, etc. And different. Usually it rotates every year. It's celebrated somewhere else. Right. So I remember one in one city not too far away from Berlin, where basically sort of live music going on, mm-hmm. German foods, so lots of beer, obviously. Mm-hmm. So everybody had a really good time, lots of music. I hope we'll see that maybe next year again. I
hope so too. That would be good to see. I'm just wondering, there are loads of Germans here in Nigeria, I believe.
There's some. We have about, I think, 90, I checked the other day, about 90 German companies or representation, directly or indirectly. There are a lot of, there's actually quite a number of Germans working for Nigerian companies. Mm-hmm. Specialists, engineers, etc. So there's a good size, especially in Lagos, mm-hmm. and the area you have quite a bit. And yesterday we had a sort of a German gathering in one of the local breweries.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
I was quite wondering.
Nice. Yeah.
So how was it? So loads of Germans in the States gathered to celebrate the national German Day yesterday.
That was not the official one. Normally, if this had been a normal non-COVID time, mm-hmm. I would have had a big reception, mm-hmm. Which we're not allowed to do because for now, because special instruction from the German government, no big official parties. But this was an unofficial gathering at the local brewery in Lagos, mm-hmm. and some of the Germans coming together and having some nice beer made in Lagos.
That's good.
Yeah, yes.
Now, for most Nigerians, Germans and Europeans are quite removed from their daily life. They don't really interact with them or know a lot about the German culture. If there's a message you believe will be relevant for them on this celebration of the National Day, what exactly would that be?
Yeah, what I think, and especially if I think of, if I look at Nigeria and the kind of issues I read about when I open the paper, mm-hmm. what sort of is at people's mind here, for us, basically to keep a country together, this idea of a national unity, which for us was a gift, mm-hmm. basically, by historical circumstances, is something that is very important. It's really worth striving for, and one should not forget that. And also that it's very important it came about peacefully, mm-hmm. in our case. And I think, with all the tensions that you read about the different parts of the country, I think this is an important message, is to bring home that this is something that is really worth striving for, to keep your nation together. Unity, and, work for it peacefully.
Well, that's good. So how have the former West Germany and, of course, the former East Germany, how have they been able to grow together so far? How much difference remains between the two, politically, economically, and socially?
Yes, there is still, we still are not, it's still not 100% identical yet. I mean, we are 31 years on, we have been able, to make it much more even than it used to be, basically the level of the former East, which is communist, and to bring it up quite a bit with a lot of in public investment, public and private investment, I should say. A lot of German tax dollars, tax euros have been poured into it over the last 3 decades. So, like in terms of infrastructure, probably they're better off now than the old West Germany because of it's everything more recent. But there are still, in terms of living standards, wages, that they're still not quite 100% there yet.
What about politically?
Politically, also there is. You find different views. There's those who have found their place, who've made a good career for themselves. Those who have grown up in the unified Germany. They have no. I think there's no hard feelings. But you have still some among the older generations who were not quite happy the way their lives turned out. So there is still an element of discontent. I think that does. You see that we also see that in the elections that certain bit of resentment maybe towards parts of the West. It might take another few years, maybe another 10 years, to make it completely even one country through and through. Yeah.
All right, so we're here to witness that, hopefully. Talking about the elections, you had a parliamentary election, right?
Yes, we did.
What do the results actually mean for the future of the country?
Yeah, it's interesting because we have the results, but we still don't have a new government. That might still take time. We know how the parties did. Now the parties have to sort themselves out. Our system's not first past the post. We have a representative system, so they need to form a coalition which has majority in parliament, and now they're all maneuvering. And there are different options possible. And but the good news is these are all these parties have a solid and sound democratic agenda. I mean, the differences are not that big, so I'm not worried about the future and the political stability of my country.
Was it a transparent election?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Was it fair?
Yes. And the way our system works also, we have the results within a few hours.
Hours?
Yes.
How is that possible?
Well, they do. The way they transmit the results, I mean, they're counted locally. They are put together, they're transmitted. First of all, they have the exit polls. The exit polls are usually not very far off. So maybe half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour after the polls close, you have the first results, first estimate based on the exit polls, which, by my experience, and I've seen a lot of elections, are not that far off the mark. So, I mean, of course, Germany is not geographically extended as Nigeria is. It's not as diverse in terms of rural and remote areas, etc., as Nigeria is. So maybe it's a little easier for us to get all the results together. But then you get after the exit polls, you get the first official estimates, and then pretty soon, usually by next morning, you have the final official result, and which is not far away from the first estimates. Yeah, so you know what you're getting, and if there are some problems, you hear about it. Like in my home city, Berlin, they had some issues. They ran out of ballot sheets at some point, and people were kind of upset because they had to wait, and that they keep the polls open longer than originally was called for, but they did, and at the end of the day, everybody got to vote. But of course, this should not happen in a well-organized system that they're out of ballot sheets. But they solved that. That's the only problem I heard about.
But so far, it's quite efficient, you'd say.
I would say it's very efficient. It's a well-oiled machinery, yes.
Oh, that's good then. So like Nigeria, Germany has a federal system,
yes.
I believe. Where do you see the similarities? I know you're just 2 months old, but you've read the papers, the Nigerian papers a few times. Do you see any major differences with the the federal system that we both run?
Yeah, I would say I think you have a federal system, but to me, as an outside observer, and somebody reads the paper, and somebody's also an historian by training, it seems to me that it's a federal system, but it was conceived from the center. The way it's thought through, whereas in Germany, say, historically, it was conceived from the regions. I don't know. Maybe this. I don't want to put too much emphasis into that thought, but I think the co-responsibility. We have more co-responsibility that lie in the states. Mm-hmm. Give you one example: police. Regular police is organized by state. It's state police. The uniforms may all look the same, mm-hmm. but it's state police.
And it's funded by the state government?
It is funded through the state's government, through the state budget, correct. We also have a federal police, but that's more like the FBI or so. Or I forgot what the new British equivalent is called. Mm-hmm. Education is organized at state level.
State level as well?
State level, yes. Mm-hmm. Schools. And even most of the tertiary educational institutions are state institutions.
Oh, that's good. I think that's a major similarity. We also do have the state universities here, and of course there's some run by the federal government as well. What about your taxes? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the taxes. The taxes are also collected on. I think the tax administration is broken down on state level. The taxes are of course unified. Now, if you nail me down on how the taxes are distributed, like in the case of Nigeria, there I would have to come back and give you the details because I have not done my research there on that one. But it's also tax administration is also organized state by state level. Yes.
Okay. We're also having that conversation here. There's some state governors who are actually asking to receive the VAT by themselves. You're aware of that?
Oh, yes.
And it's causing a lot of, back and forth in courts now.
I've sent a report to my country on that one, yeah. So it's because I find it a very interesting subject.
So what do you think about it?
Well, what do I think about it? I think this is, I cannot make political comments on this issue. I think it has two sides. There's a question of efficiency, and of course of equal distribution. That people really there has to be consensus that the proceeds are shared in a fair manner. Mm-hmm. I understand they're broken down between your local government level, state level, and federal level.
Right.
So, and across the whole variety, the whole expand of your federal states, north to south, east to west. I think that's a big task, and we had issues like that before in Germany. We also have a system where there's there are tax transfers also horizontally. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Between those states who produce a bigger tax, have a bigger tax base, and those who don't. So you also have that sense of
balance,
of balance within the system. Mm-hmm. So I do understand the logic that Nigeria has, and I think there's a fairness in that. But it just has to be adjusted right, so that the majority of the people in this country can go along.
Let's talk about COVID-19.
Okay.
Yes, you did mention that it kind of ruined the celebration for yesterday.
Yes.
It's crazy. I just read in the news that Germany is the first country right now to mix vaccines, so to speak. For those who took the Moderna first dose, can actually take a second dose of the AstraZeneca. I find it quite,
Yeah,
it's very new to me. It's actually really the first country doing that.
You can do that, but mostly it's done the other way around. Like if you get the first shot with AstraZeneca, then they actually recommend as a second dose you take either Moderna or
the Pfizer
BioNTech one, which is a completely different kind of a medical. It's on a different mechanism, based on a different mechanism. I know people who've done that, and especially, now they're talking, for example, for the very old ones and very vulnerable ones to get the third, like a booster shot, because after 6 months or so, the efficiency of your protection goes down. And there you can also even, like myself, I had 2 AstraZeneca shots. If and when I get a booster shot, God willing, then probably also be Moderna or Pfizer-BioNTech. I'll have to line up for that one in Germany. But
I like to see other countries do that. I mean, it would be interesting.
I think in the US also, in the US they don't use AstraZeneca, but Johnson & Johnson is one that works the same way, based on the same mechanism as AstraZeneca.
Right.
Thinking they can do that as well. They use and get it in a booster shot, which is either Moderna or Pfizer. Right. So I think you'll see that probably more and more as the program vaccination programs progress. That and we're not, we don't know how long we're going to live with this. So maybe in 10 years from now, we're still getting booster shots every year.
What are the rules right now for people trying to travel to Germany? Of course, thinking about the COVID-19. Do they have to be fully vaccinated to get a visa, or rather to get into Germany? Or what about the isolation days?
No.
The COVID test?
I'm very happy you asked me this question, because right now the rule for us here is when you give out visas, basically you have to be fully vaccinated. There are only certain exceptions from that basic rule when that is not a necessity. Where we can just issue, have visitors with just a test, but also when you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to isolate.
Oh, good.
So if you go to Germany fully vaccinated, you enter the country. You're good.
You still need a COVID test?
The latest I had, I think you did not need it. As far as I think they require a COVID test from you leaving Nigeria.
Okay.
But we would not, if you have proof of vaccination, we would not request.
Oh, then that's good.
Yeah, and of course, if those special cases who cannot, who we can give a visa without vaccination, they would have to self-isolate. Or I think also similar like here.
All right. Let's lastly just talk about Nigerian food. What Nigerian food are you currently loving? Have you tried any?
Yes, I've tried some. Of course, I've tried I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, jollof.
Try jollof rice.
Jollof rice with chicken, without chicken.
Ooh, was it spicy? Did you like it?
It was rather spicy, yeah. But I will tell you, when I lived in New York as a very young man, I had a Nigerian flatmate.
Ooh, you had a Nigerian flatmate?
This was in the 70s.
I hope he was a good guy.
Yeah, he was from the Delta. And it was Igbo, and he used to cook his
jollof rice?
No, it wasn't jollof rice. He cooked something. He did not have a really great variety of food, I think, because he always he always told me that he had helpers at home, so he cooked what he could cook, and it was very hot.
It was very hot?
It was very hot. So what I had here now did not seem half as hot to me as what my flatmate cooked way back then. So I don't know. I don't know what that says. Maybe my palate got adjusted over the years. I don't know.
Could be.
But it was spicy, but it was doable for me.
It was doable. So you're going to have more jollof rice?
I will have more jollof.
Are you enjoying Nigerian music too?
I love Afrobeat. Everybody loves Afrobeat, but I heard some of it on the radio, and mostly I have not been out much to concerts yet, but that's still on my to-do list.
Do you have a favorite Nigerian artist yet?
Well, of course, everybody likes the old classics, Fela Kuti, but I don't really know about the current ones. I still need to. Sometimes I listen to the music on the radio. I'm not really sure
who's singing.
Who was singing? If I like the music, I keep it on.
Okay. So how can Nigerians listening to you right now, for those who might want to travel to Germany, to experience the culture, experience the people, how can they go about getting their visa? what are some of the steps they need to take,
Yeah.
and where can they go to?
Yeah, they basically, like everybody else these days, all the information is online. And what you need, what you have to do. Of course, the majority of visitors, people just come for a short visit, whether it's business or by visiting family or whatever. These are sort of the short-term visas, which we call Schengen visa, because it's all these countries in Europe that cooperate. And for those, it's fairly straightforward. You need to have, you need to know where you're going. Sometimes, you need to have a hotel booking and that kind of stuff. You have to have your flight booking. All that is available, and then once you have all these documents and all the information that we require, you have to book an appointment also online for a visa appointment.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for coming in today, Dr. Munchow-Pohl. It's been a pleasure, but I want you to teach me a German word before you go. I'm sure Nigerians want to learn something in German. So how do you say "how are you" in Germany? In German, sorry.
Yes, we say "Wie geht es Ihnen?"
Wie geht es Ihnen?
Yeah, how are you? And if this would be the formal way, and if it's somebody you know very well, you would say "Wie geht es dir?"
Wie geht es dir? What was the
Very
first?
good, very good.
Oh, I did very well.
Yes.
Wie geht es dir,
Wie
Mr.
geht es
Pohl?
dir? Yes, it really means literally, how are you?
How are you? And what do you say in return?
Well, I would say, vielen Dank, mir geht es gut.
Ooh,
Many thanks, I'm doing okay.
oh, that's good. Wie geht es dir?
Vielen Dank, mir geht es gut.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Munchow, for coming in today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you
I
much
hope
for
we
having
see
me.
much of you, so you learn more. And whenever you're listening to some music, you might want to check out Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy. He just won a Grammy earlier this year.
that name actually I've heard. Yeah.
You've heard.
Yes.
All right. I hope you enjoy more of the music.
Yes, I will try my very best. Thanks.
Coming up next is the business news by Uyu. You've been listening to Dr. Munchow-Pohl. He is the Consulate General of Germany and representing, of course, Germany here in Nigeria. He's begun about 2 months ago, and so far he's having a great time. Stay with us. It's The Live Drive.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.